What if everything you know about space is a lie? The moon landings, the stars, distant galaxies, the International Space Station, even Earth floating in the vast cosmic void. What if it's all fabricated? Not just misunderstood, but entirely made up. A theater built above our heads, a veil pulled over our eyes. This is not just some fringe belief held by a few people on the internet. It's a conspiracy theory that, once you fall into it, raises questions that don't easily let you go. Because behind the laughter and ridicule, something starts to itch, a strange feeling that maybe, just maybe, something about space doesn't quite add up. Let's begin with a simple observation. How do we know space exists? Not from personal experience. Very few people have ever left the Earth's atmosphere. The number is small, under 1,000. The rest of us? We rely entirely on what we're told. By whom? Government agencies like NASA, private companies like SpaceX, textbook illustrations, and the comforting voice of science documentaries narrated by calm British men. But if you peel back the surface, conspiracy theorists argue, cracks begin to show. Consider this. All of our proof of space comes through a screen. Photographs, videos, simulations, graphics, animations, sometimes composites, a polite word for Photoshop. Have you ever seen a raw, unfiltered, zoomed-out photo of Earth in real time? Not taken from a satellite, but from a real camera floating in space? No edits? Probably not. NASA's most iconic image, the blue marble from 1972, is celebrated as a symbol of our planet's beauty. But did you know even NASA admits it's a composite of several photographs stitched together? More recent Earth images, like the ones from the Epic camera on the Discover satellite, are similarly composited and digitally color-corrected. But ask yourself, why would we need to edit reality if it's truly there? This opens the door to the "space is fake" theory. One version claims that space is not an infinite void, but rather a dome enclosing the Earth, a firmament, as described in ancient texts like the Bible, the Torah, and even the Quran. According to this idea, stars are not massive burning spheres millions of light years away, but lights embedded within the dome, like celestial pixels. In fact, when ancient people described the sky as a solid canopy, we called them primitive. But were they just describing what they actually saw, before we replaced their lived observations with theoretical astrophysics? Could it be that what we call scientific progress was simply rewriting the original narrative to suit a different agenda? Let's talk about NASA. Founded in 1958 during the height of the Cold War, NASA was more than just a scientific venture. It was a psychological weapon in a battle of perception. The United States needed to prove its technological superiority over the Soviet Union. Space became the new battlefield, and the best part? No one could verify what actually happened up there. The moon landing in 1969 is often the focal point. To many, it's one of humanity's greatest achievements. But to others, it's a suspiciously perfect performance. Shadows falling in strange directions, missing stars in the sky, identical backgrounds in supposedly different locations in the moon's surface. And then, perhaps most damningly, NASA lost the original footage of the moon landing. That's right, arguably the most important video in human history, gone. Add to that the claim that Stanley Kubrick, director of 2001, A Space Odyssey, was hired to stage the moon landing, and suddenly it starts to feel less like history and more like Hollywood. Some theorists even say that 2001 was a warm-up, a test of visual realism. And when it passed, Kubrick was brought on board to direct the real show, Apollo 11. But even if that were true, why fake space at all? According to conspiracy theorists, it's not just about Cold War competition, it's about control. If space is fake, then so is the idea that we are meaningless, random life forms on a floating rock, spinning in a purposeless universe. That's the narrative we've been sold. But if Earth is enclosed, special, and central, then suddenly life has meaning. There's intention, design, maybe even a creator. Elites, the theory claims, don't want that. A population that believes they are cosmic accidents is easier to control. You don't question your place. You don't believe you're important. You trust the systems, The science, the politics, the institutions. You obey, thinking there's nowhere else to go. Literally. This theory extends into predictive programming. The idea that Hollywood, media, and even video games are subtly conditioning us to accept certain beliefs. Why does nearly every sci-fi movie assume space is real, colonization of planets is inevitable, and Earth is doomed unless we escape it? From Star Wars to Interstellar, The Martian to Ad Astra, we're constantly shown space as humanity's future. And yet no one ever asks, what if it's just a story? Consider how we experience space today. Most of the images we see are computer-generated. Even the photos from the James Webb Space Telescope are processed and color-coded based on infrared data, not actual color. You're not looking at real snapshots. You're looking at data translated into imagery by algorithms. We've never held a planet in our hands, never heard the sound of a real black hole, never touched a moon rock, not handed to us by someone in a government lab. We're trusting second-hand interpretations filtered through screens, simulations, and curated narratives. Then there's the question of satellites. If thousands of satellites are supposedly orbiting Earth, why don't we see them in every video of space or every live ISS feed? Why don't planes or rockets ever collide with them? Why don't we see satellites with powerful zoom cameras from Earth's surface? It's almost as if they're not really there, or at least not in the way we've been told. The space is fake theory also draws on the idea that governments routinely lie. If history has taught us anything, it's that large-scale deception is not only possible, it's common. From false flag operations to secret surveillance programs, we know that truth is often buried beneath layers of manipulation. So why would space be immune? And in recent years, with the rise of deepfakes, AI-generated images, and virtual reality, the line between real and fake has blurred more than ever before. We are rapidly entering a world where anything can be simulated. Voices, faces, events, environments. In a world this fake, how can we still trust the stars? To believers in this theory, space is the biggest lie of all, the ultimate distraction from our true purpose. If space is fake, then what's beyond the sky? What's really up there? Or worse, what's being hidden from us? Some say other civilizations, some say an ocean above the firmament, just as ancient scriptures describe. Others say nothing, that the dome is the final boundary, and we're inside a self-contained system designed for life. A kind of grand terrarium. It may sound insane, and maybe it is, but ask yourself this. Why does the idea feel so uncomfortable? Is it because it's impossible? Or because it threatens to tear down everything we thought we knew? Because it suggests that science, education, and authority may not be the final word. Perhaps the space is fake theory isn't about astronomy at all. Maybe it's about trust, about reality, about whether the world we live in is what we're told or something else entirely. And if we've been lied to about the sky, what else have we been lied to about? Maybe the real conspiracy isn't that space is fake. Maybe it's that we've been conditioned to never question it.